Hello everyone, SpeeDMan here, back with another episode of our Let's Learn Civilization 6 series. We're going to do another video on our Brazil run, and we had a good start, ending off on turn 72, and we just got the basics going for our first tier 1 government, and that's going to be really key because it's going to really allow us to take into account some heavy
From
growth.
humble beginnings, you
We
have shown
absolutely
remarkable
need
growth.
to min-max
Leave your
our
bronze for
culture a
iron
little bit.
and rule with
Try
horse
to
and
get
sword.
to the recorded
The
history
sky above begins to reveal its
particular civic,
secrets, a
and
collection
in
of
a moment
heaven
I'll show you why
that
it's such
uplifts
a
our
key
hearts
civic for this
and
particular
guides
game.
us to foreign shores.
Easy hint,
Your
campus
people look
adjacency
to
bonuses.
you, Emperor Pedro II, to lead
It's
Brazil
going
onto
to
the
make a
world stage.
massive difference.
Use your
Adjacency
reputation as a
bonuses for
patron of
campuses and commercial
artists,
hubs are going to be
scientists,
key
and
here.
engineers to draw the greatest
I'm
minds
not going
to
to be
our
getting
fertile home.
a
For
theater
it is in
square
the lush
adjacency
rainforests,
card for some
teeming with
time. It's
life.
not going to happen for a little while. If I want to look at my appeal, overall my appeal has improved a lot. So what I could do here is, as I expand more and more of these tiles come under my empire's control, what's going to be really key is also remember I'm about to get a nice little change, just a nice little cha-ching, 6 science. And remember, as I mentioned earlier, recorded history. It's the next thing I'm going to do afterwards. Natural philosophy. And so in this case, natural philosophy, what it allows is 100% campus adjacency bonuses. So that will become plus 12. If we go to empire, it's plus 5, that's plus 6, plus 4. So instead of having 15, that'll be 30. So imagine that's going to add a lot more science potential and science growth in the overall gist of my empire. To build on that, in order for that to be viable, what I need to do is I need to consider 2 things. Is it worth selling off amenities? And oftentimes it can be worth because the gains you get from them are pretty substantial in relation to what normally would just be perfect. So I'm going to take 20 of these. Of course, you won't take it under any circumstances. The reason for that for that is that there's only one of that particular one. So to my understanding, the AI will view that singular one and they will basically refuse to do anything with that at the time. Once they get 2, you can buy one off of them. So she values this quite a bit. So let's take a look at what her gold income is. 5 gold per turn, that's her max income right now because she's hemorrhaging quite a bit of value. A lot of that is coming from what I have is 22 more turns available, as you can see in the top left area, plus 13 from Catherine de Medici. That's not a bad thing. A lot of these extra little bits of deals help. They're not heavy deals. They're not the largest deals in the world. They could be a lot more. But at this particular phase of the game, having this is key, because getting a settler immediately after this will allow me to set up here. Getting this done and getting a couple more settlers will allow me to further expand my empire just a little at a time. Now there's cities here, so they're blocking growth that I want to work on. So this is owned by Gaul. Not met Gaul in this run, but Gaul is there, of course. So what that means is that it limits my overall growth potential here. In order for me to become competitive, what I have to do is finish setting up these tiles. I'm going to take off one of the settlers, and I don't need another settler. 5 is at this point in the game, that is going to be the maximum. I cannot settle more cities in this area, lest I go to another area and end up obviously having the issue of loyalty. Now I could settle here, but the problem is that this is going to run into the same kind of loyalty pressure issue. I could do that. It is risky, but I could do that, but it would take a while to get that city there. And it's not going to be a very high value tile. There's not much, even if I settle here at this position. Yes, I could put, you know, campus here. That would give me a +3. And, you know, maybe a commercial hub here or a theater square or something here. Yes, that is true. But the cost of time in order to get that moving over would be too much for other benefits that I could be working on. I could be working on a market in that time, which would increase my trade route capacity. I can start getting more traders going. Traders are pretty cheap. They only take 5 turns. It's 215 gold. It's quite a bit of value there. And if I take a look at what we have here, districts with a building provide 1 great person point to their type. This is key. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on that. Now, pretty soon I will be getting, let's see, calculate 6 turns, I'll be getting an envoy. I'm going to put an envoy into Bologna, and then I'm going to also buy a spearman. Now, my rationale for that is I could also, you know, make that in 6 turns, but I'd rather buy it because in the time it takes me to buy it, which is 260, it'd take me 5 turns of gold development versus 6 turns of actual production cost. Now, yes, I could build the Apadana, but the problem is if I take out that rainforest, that removes a lot of value. If I take this out, that removes a lot of value. These tiles are all very valuable, especially the ones with a rainforest because of Brazil's unique ability. This particular build is absolutely hinging on being cautious about what tiles I decide to chop, because woods, for example, like here, don't provide the adjacency bonus that would be occurring if it were, say, for example, a rainforest. So this, if there's something I want to put there, I could just chop that out and put it down. So that itself gives me immediate value, and it's not ending up as a concern. So boost to recorded history. Good thing is I got 2 campuses done. So good thing is that is going to take 13 turns instead of 21. It's a nice bonus to have. 8 turns development sooner is not a bad thing to have. In this game, development is everything. So here, I'm going to go ahead and get this going. Have another amenity spare. And see who I can barter this off to for maximum value. Since I already have 1, that's 5 with another just under 4 gold per, 4 gold per turn worth of gold in immediate effect. So that's just a little under 9. It's 5. 7 horses, and then that. I'll probably take that because then I can sell the horses. And look at that. I just extracted massive value from that. So now I'm getting 16 gold a turn instead of, you know, 7 or 5 or 10, getting that much more value. And that's where sometimes these deals can be really useful. So one thing that, as I'm developing, more of an understanding of the game, or really the lack thereof, is that the more you make an attempt to find little extra barter deals for other resources outside of gold, like strategic resources or amenities, things like that, or really more importantly than anything else, diplomatic favor, you can gain so much value from that. See, I don't really need this. It's an extra few gold per turn. So let's see, who would like it? Who's going to gain value in a way that I can actually benefit the most from? Look at that, 6 gold per turn, boom, no brainer. Now I'm at a much higher gold per turn, and that gives me a much more competitive outlook on the situation. Remember, more gold per turn at this phase of the game, the more I can grow. And I do have one more build charge available for an industry. I'm going to see what that industry is. If it's food growth, that's going to be useful for this, but it's not going to be food growth. It's going to be something specific like gold, for example. So let's take a look. 30% production towards military units and host city. This in general isn't bad. This is not a bad start, and this is not a bad setup to work with. What I would say that's really key here is that while it is nice to do that, it's not necessarily going to show you that +2, +2, +1. That's just that's more or less based off this overall value. It can be a little confusing. So basically that would turn that into a 336. Now, I don't have any other of the cotton amenity available throughout this part of the region. I do have one copy of truffles. So another copy of truffles here. So that's 2 there. So that means I can go ahead and consider doing that. That'll upgrade this a little bit. And see, now that's 433. It's a much better tile, and now it is going to grow. So it's a good thing to wager what's going to make sense. What's going to be a good deal, what's going to give you maximum value. See, normally I would place these things closer together, but key thing here is that placing this in this position, I can make this work. I could also place this in a better position, like place an industrial zone here. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's in range of all of my tiles. And now I can have a single industrial zone applying benefits and power later in the game to all 5 of my cities, which provides even more production bonuses and more, other yields and so on. So this is where being aware of, where you place things can be pretty useful. So this guy I'm going to keep up north. And I'm going to go ahead, have him skip turn. He's going to get attacked most likely by a swordsman, but that's what I want. It's going to hurt him a little bit.
The ascent to the highest stories by stair.
Trauma and poetry just got boosted. So now, that's 4 turns, that's 13 turns. I just keep shaving little bits of time off of some of these upgrades. And that's one of the key things too, is finding ways to get those boosts when possible. Now, some of my opponents are in golden ages. I'm in a normal age, so the pressure being exerted to my areas the pressure itself is not as bad. However, with 14 turns left until the next era and having another normal age secured, I put myself in a better position because eventually they're not going to be able to sustain golden ages, and they're going to get to a point where eventually they'll be more likely to get dark ages, and that would be the perfect time for me to take advantage of that and gain a lot of loyalty per turn potentially, and mainly from Amani's promotion here. Let's see here. Yeah, other cities within 9 tiles and not owned by you will lose 2 loyalty per turn, and that applies as a net. So if you place it here, that city there, that city would just be in range. Or if I were to have a city, up here, and I placed it here, all these cities would be in range. Now, granted, obviously with my empire as it stands, I would have to take some city-states down in order for me to actually gain value there. Like this particular one, let's see here. Yeah, that particular one, I would have to take down. I could also just put value into it by, getting enough commercial hubs with upgraded stuff that I can gain more gold per turn. And that is also an option. So here I'm going to go ahead and fortify. I'd like to get him healed up so that way he's on his way to getting promoted again. This position's not bad. I would like to go ahead and get a trade route. One of these people had a trade route. I think it might have been Shigetti. Yes. So I'm at a stage in the game where development is being slowed down. Now I have the potential to go to Buenos Aires, and that'll give me some additional value. And I may do that. So what I'm going to do is purchase a trader here. I'm going to use this trader. And see, he puts his unit into visibility. That tells me I need to be prepared for some type of issue to occur at some point in the future. Now, this would give me less gold per turn, but would give me a little bit of science and a little bit of production. Doesn't hurt to have. I could also put it into one of my internal cities, or I can put it to Buenos Aires so that way I have better rotation throughout some of this area. Babanongo is not a bad one to do that with, so that way just trading to that area gives me a little bit more movement. I would say overall a better position for me to work with is probably Buenos Aires. So I'll likely go with that. La Venta is not bad. 3 gold per turn and a little bit of faith isn't a problem. I don't really need the faith. I'm not running a faith game in this case. Obviously, of course, a holy site. If I were to replace these campuses with holy sites, those holy sites would be extremely effective. Having 3 holy sites that are all like 4 to 6 in value, getting a religion and then getting work ethic and then eventually getting scripture to add another 100% on top of that would just make these extremely effective production powerhouse cities very early game. And I could do that. I would rather go more of an economic route in this case. Somewhat semi-similar to Grand Colombia run, but this one I want to make more of a focus on really an effective use of limited area. Because in that particular run, the Grand Colombia one, that one I have a lot more space to work with. I have a whole island, almost essentially an entire island to myself, except the very northern area where there's a little bit of presence with Coupe and a little bit of presence on the left-hand side with Hungary. But overall, it's on my own. Because of that, in this circumstance here, there's obviously I put it up to have a lot more city-states. So that's why there's more city-state pressure in this area and there's not going to be much space. At the same time, that applies for the other civs too. Other civs are semi-limited in some areas. He's in semi-mountainous areas. And honestly, he's the right civ for mountains. He has mountains that he can work production value, even a volcano. Yes, he can actually gain value from volcanoes. So I would say the choice I'm going to make is most likely going to be Buenos Aires. Just keep working that gold up. Getting movement from down here is good because getting movement from around here will allow me to basically rotate from the capital, get some troop movement. Now here, I'm seeing that, of course, this dude is making a push here. So I just switched out the settler for a moment, get the walls, so that way this is protected. And both cities are now in this position where they can be amply protected as they need. Rome's science per turn is not as impressive as people would want it to be. So what that means for me is, yes, I'm not going for religion, so that is fine. And if I'm curious, it's no problem. he can take the hit there. What I would do is I would go to here, to Judaism. There's Warrior Monks and Cathedral. Religious Art. Both of these are not really relevant for me. And Adjacent Faith from Tundra Tiles. So he does have the potential for these holy sites to be good. But as it stands right now, he's not making the most effective use of his surrounding areas. So Shaka and Alexander are back to being at war. I'm not concerned about the religious takeover. Remember, there are other religions. Remember, there are quite a few more players here that have not been seen. That's why developing my own presence is really key, and then also eventually getting to a point where... So perfect. Bologna, I'm going to put here. That's one into that. And then I'm going to, because I know Rome, the way Rome builds its presence, I'm going to build or buy a spearman, become suzerain of that, get a little bit of Diplo favor earlier, which remember, more Diplo favor I get earlier on allows me to make better use of those resources. So those are all benefits. So I'm not concerned about the missionaries that he has. You know, he's more of a, he's going for more of a religion domination kind of game, but more on the religion end. He lost his pressure here, and once I started building walls, really a lot of his potential for an attack is pretty weak now. You know, it's completely weak now. You can't do as much. These cities have time to counteract an attack or a major push. You know, and if we look on where the trees are, you know, okay, so Saladin is a fresh person to be meeting, so that means he's probably around here somewhere. Ah, right here. What's your religion? Choral music. That's a good one, actually. I can use the culture. And production. Not bad. Problem is, we need more of them. So he's taken one singular unit, and Rome is already going to be the main presence here, so it's what it is. Yeah, I'm not really fretting it.
بفضل من Papon Pizes.
I will settle another city here, and I will make sure to put walls there, so that way I could defend this region. Anything within these two tiles is now covered, and it limits his rotation, because remember, I have suzerainty of this, or suzerainty. And because of that, if he declares war on me, he's going to immediately have to deal with quite a few, you know, decent little pieces of his army, and that's not going to make it easy on him. Now, I will be getting drama and poetry, so that's going to be really key. I won't be able to do it right away, but it'll be a useful tool for me to build from. I will go ahead and declare a friendship with him. He'll be the first friend amongst this entire crew. And let's see what you would have available. Very little. Plenty of that. It's very nice. You just outright do not have gold right now. So let's see. So the only person that really overvalues diplomatic favor is Catherine, and I'm going to just save on that. I'm going to save up on that for a little while. And my reasoning is that the more I save that, I'm going to take this off first. Great writer points per turn. Start working on that. I will want to get some great writers eventually, so just working my way towards that wouldn't hurt. It's not going to do very much at this stage in the game because obviously other civs have started working on great writers and so on, but it'll mean that I can start catching up with that, having high adjacency bonuses, and that'll start bringing my culture back into the fray. The key here is absolutely more than anything else getting this right now. Not only will it give me a governor title, it'll also allow me to take into account better science. That's going to give me, essentially, once this gets completed in 6 turns, which will be done beforehand, that'll give me another 15 science per turn on top of the values that I am currently producing. So this guy, I'm actually going to bring south. I want to keep this guy here so I have visual of any area, so in case he decides to start being problematic, I know I can immediately defend. Plus, walls are 7 turns, and I will eventually, once I have my science developed more, I will focus my walls towards medieval walls and so on, so that way I have better strength. Medieval walls being right here. It will take a little while, but that's only 3 turns, and that's only 9 turns. And building a water mill is pretty cheap anyways. So I'm actually going to hold off on doing that particular one. I'd like to get water mills first. The reason is, while yes, I do want to get universities somewhat soon, I want to get the production bonus because that's going to boost construction. That's going to give me walls to allow me to defend myself better. I'm in a position where watermill would also benefit me overall, just in general. I'm not going to provide him with that because I know he's more of a potential threat. I need to settle here first, then do that as an option. If I do that beforehand, I'm just giving him free resources without having a means to protect myself. So it's a key aspect of this particular development here. So as you can see here with this position, in a couple turns I'll start getting a settler, and that settler is going to bring them down, or I'm going to bring that settler down. This one that's going to be in 4 turns, I'm going to bring there, and that will complete this region, you know, this nice little star formation here. And then I'll place a nice industrial zone here. What I'll see if I have available is I will also go for a street carnival. So this will be good. That'll give me value. I don't know if that's available anymore. If it has not been taken, I will go for it, but I doubt that it's still around. Let me do a map search. No results, but that doesn't mean it hasn't been built by somebody I haven't met yet. And I'm working on it, don't you worry. Well, that does seem worth it. Now, I can definitely take the loss of amenity. The overall benefits will be pretty great. So Bologna has 4 man-at-arms.
Don't
820 gold for that. So I have 644. A watermill is 320. So I have enough to buy a watermill. Actually, 2 watermills. Ah, that's right. That city is not next to water, therefore it's not going to gain that benefit of watermills. That's okay. And the capital would be good. That helps bring that down a little bit. And then let's do a watermill here as well. Just helps the growth a little bit, and also just helps the completion of specific things that I need. So now these are both boosted. This will only take 8 turns to get to, and then adopt a government with 6 inherent policy slots. I will eventually work on that, but it's just not something of a major priority because I have other things I need to develop. I need to get these cities down and then get some ancient walls. And then eventually what I could do is I could work on maybe a monarchy later in the game. For now, if I get this, that'd put me in a better position. But I would like to, since I'm 8 turns away, that's going to take a little while. I'm going to bring you down a bit more, just secure this area a little bit. And then I'm going to, let's see here. Aqueducts would not be a bad thing, but they're not really big. They're not a big deal right now. Ideally, getting construction these other things will help with military engineering, because getting niter as a source of additional income will be good. Getting a trebuchet would also be key. A trebuchet would actually be very nice to have. So if I were to go to that, it only requires those 2 things. So having access to niter would be very, very critical at this stage of the game. Because if, say, like, you know, it spawns there, or really it spawns there, then immediately that creates heavily sustained value. City state that we have met has been destroyed. I should have moved him. I didn't realize that. I hate forgetting in those situations because he's gonna die. Yep, sucks. It's a problem that I have, is that I tend to not be very good about remembering that I have a person fortified there, and the game doesn't really remind you at all. So I'm going to bring you down. You're done in 4 turns. Actually, it took you a little longer. Oh, that's because the other settler got done. That's why. So no problem there. Now, what we can do is, when we save up gold, and we're making a pretty good amount of gold too, this stage, what we could do is we'll go for a market. Just start working on our gold a little bit. And then getting great merchants, which will further amplify our whole system here. And seeing as I'm the only one that's really making use of this entire situation, it's not a bad thing. So far, good. You know, I'm pretty happy with this current position. Ideally, I want to make sure by the time I end the episode, I have both cities settled, and I have some basic infrastructure plans kind of sorted out. I would eventually like to get serfdom, which will be in feudalism, but it's not for a little while. It's going to take some time to get there, and I need to get recorded history first. That is a bigger priority. That would actually, really, more than anything else, that would catch me up in my science. Perfect. So that's given me a little bit more science. Now, do have a good bit of gold to be storing up. I could go for this. I would like to get that as a priority. We'll get the commercial hub first. That will complete, so that'll give me a little bit of value. So we're okay there. And that's a very nice tile to have. And in the current generation of this city, I'm going to lock both of those tiles. The high gold tile, but not very high means of other things. And then I don't know why that was locked, but it's better that I fix it now. There's Singapore and Games of Recreation. That's the construction technology. I'm 2 turns away from that, so I'm about to get a boost for that, which will increase my a little bit of production. So that's at 14. And that'll rise it up to 15. So want you to set in here. And I'm going to keep you as just as a recon unit. You're going to be in this area, so if I see him trying to push out, I know immediately, and I have much more time to have notice here. Because the biggest threats in terms of militaries are Rome, the
Create
Zulu,
with the heart.
and then the Gauls. So you are ready to settle.
People have chosen to...
Going to remove that. +3 is much better here. It also puts me closer to being able to pick that up potentially, which actually there we go. That way I can guarantee that I've got a decent tile to work with. So I'm picking up a good amount of great people points for our merchant. I am starting to pick up a nice little bit of tempo with our great scientists. It will take some time, but we are getting there. I want you to set in over in that direction. And immediately am getting an additional bit of production, which is good. It's exactly what I need. And you're going to just stay alert. I want you to just keep an eye on this area. That way I know if there's something going on that's suspicious, like say for example he takes troops up, then I know, to start getting walls ready and some other things set up. And if it so happens to be a case where, he has cavalry units, position them here, and I bring them down here. And that'll be a better position for me to set into anyways. So this is done in 1 turn. Well, not done, but this is about to grow in 1 turn. I'm going to go ahead and buy a builder. I should have done that last turn, but that's okay. Actually, I would have had enough gold. That's fine. It's a mistake. And let's see here. Good position. He settled a fresh little city here, so that's fine. It's got a good 5 cities so far, but I'll be able to have a nice, tighter kind of grouping of cities that I can do more with. If we take a look here in the theater square, that's a +6 theater square. That's where the theater square adjacency bonus coming from his unique ability, as shown here, becomes so crucial. There's a lot you can do mechanically from just having essentially that added momentum. Plus, in the process, I'm also going to be getting a little bit of food growth. That's no problem. It is important to get those extra bits of growth while you can, because there aren't that many opportunities in the game to do so. And simply removing something without ever actually harvesting is wasteful, you know. If there's situations where it calls for it, that is one thing. But it's often something where, no, you're not getting that. I'm glad your denouncement finally expired. And medieval era we are in now.
I've lived through some terrible things in my life.
So positive thing is all of my settlers for this phase of the game are done. And now I can focus on really building my science. So I'm at 26.5 science per turn, and it's going to go up to 40 plus. So just above 40. The amenities are what's holding that back. So I'm going to shift that guy there. You are going to harvest. Now, let's see here. I'll get this to where it will complete with an aqueduct, and then I'll start working on some other things as well. Kind of get some things kind of prepped and ready. I don't have the means to build a lot of mines yet, so that's not really a major concern or priority. This city has growth, so it's not a problem. I would like to buy that because I need just a little extra touch of just a touch of culture. Now, the theater square, you're going to go here. Going to remove that. And I'm going to finish that. Let's see, do I have the means to get a lot of things going here? Well, I hope I don't happen to get that particular one. That would not be ideal because that means I've got bigger problems. 10 population, that'll happen eventually, but I'm not concerned about that. I will at some point start really making better use of some of these farms. You know, this is a plus, you know, +2, but if there's something that can gain adjacency bonuses from a wonder, then I'll consider that. Construct alchemical society building. Basically just gives you a, I would put it this way. What it does essentially is that it gives you a normal building version of like the free inquiry golden age bonus, where it would give you, you know, science based off your like gold adjacency bonus of like commercial hubs and harbors and stuff. So that's where that can really hold some extra value. Now, my science is definitely starting to get there a little bit. It's not competitive with her. It's not competitive with really, she's taking off with science, but the others are kind of midline. We're starting to catch up. So getting these other resources and other things will catch us up little by little. Now, I do have the means of selling a great amount of resources here. That's 11 gold per turn. Saladin is, of course, going to be the best offer overall there. Seven. So you are going to give me an amazing deal here compared to the others. I'll buy that. Now, since you overvalue, you have 6 gold per turn. There we go. That'll just keep me shored up. Now, this city here doesn't have very many tiles that Let's see here. It's a 2-2 tile. Use a little bit of production, but I'm going to get some growth. I will actually be growing into that soon, so that's not a problem. Now I can choose my my options here. I'm probably going to go with free inquiry, the usual, most common, and kind of safe choice to work with. So we got 40 turns to get 17 arrow score. Now, it won't be terribly difficult because I will be able to get a library soon. I'll buy that. I have a library being worked on, so that's +2 in that section there. That will be done sooner than 32 turns. It's just slower because of the nature of this. And actually, let's get you over here. Actually, I'm going to take that. I'm going to take the culture. That's going to be more beneficial right now at this stage of the game. You can actually work your way down. It wouldn't hurt to build a farm there, but I need to figure out whether or not I'm going to need to make something of really high value. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm probably going to make an industrial zone here. Put a couple mines up here. At least so I remember that I need infrastructure set up here. I could always, you know, actually, eventually once this is available, this next pop is available, I'm going to see where the best place for a commercial hub is. If a commercial hub can go here pretty well and it's going to have some serious value, I'll consider it. Well, Congress is now in session. Let's see. That's usually a pretty often picked one. I have to go off memory. Diamonds and city center. So no problem. City center buildings for me. Cool. Those are all going to get boosted and done pretty quickly. This went up to 4 population. So that would be a +2. I would gain more value from that being a +4. And I get arrow score from it. A +2, however, I would say really, ideally, it would probably be better to build mines there for a really good industrial zone, or at least a decent industrial zone. Maybe an industrial zone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, industrial zone here. Maybe. Because actually, no. If I build a dam here, that would actually give some bonus. So I would say, let's do some budgeting in the area here, set up here. A mine would be better here for the bonus point. Take that down, take that down. Theater squares or anywhere that's going to be of really high value. That's a +4. But that city, that square, ooh, that's a tough call. Because if I put that there, the problem is that if I settle here, I lose access to that. Is there anywhere else that I can put a pretty decent one? That'd be a +3. 1, 2, 3. Desert Hills. You know, I could probably put a wonder here eventually. It's an option. I feel like at the moment, commercial hub would do me better in the short term. I could do more with the commercial hub. So that's going to get done. Library and other things are going to be worked on soon. They're going to set up over here. You just keep working your way down south. Him spreading that particular religion would be good, because a couple holy sites with, you know, perfect. Now let's see here. Reina, forestry management could be pretty good. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 10 gold per turn. Delete that tack. I'd like you to go there. You're going to have the most value potential here. I still have plenty of loyalty here, so that's okay. The more cities I have here, the more loyalty pressure is going to be sustained, so that's no problem. And then I'm going to go ahead and put on forestry management. It's not going to show a major buff yet, but once she's established, I'll have a couple of people in, and that will start to really take a hold. So no problem. Him spreading that religion is good. That's actually the religion I would prefer, considering this is just a better one all around.
People who cannot find time for recreation.
So, let's see, positions wise. What are these things I will not need? I will settle on that. It's going to be a very slow growing city, but it will grow in time. There's a +4. So at this moment, I will buy another builder. We'll get a monument going. And let's see, games and rec are done. I'll put them there and then get that. That's going to give me another mine. That'll actually, let's see here. I'll just need one more mine after that, and that will boost that particular one. So no problem. So it's good. I'm positioned with pretty good tempo to work with. I'll chop that out. That's going to boost that. That's going to help. I have enough amber resources. That'll be good. Where else do I have amber? I think I settled on it. Oh, you know, that's why. It's because city-state has it. I didn't realize that the city-state can't harbor value with that. So I will make a corporation, or not a corporation, but an industry with that. That'll be useful. It's a good position. So here, more faith yield. I mean, it's going to, let's see here. That's 1 culture, 2 food, 2 production. I'm curious to see what would actually be given here, because I don't really have a need for faith. I'm saying he's not producing any faith. Excuse me, sorry. But I will do that. So that's going to give me more production, a lot more food, and another gold. Okay, so that's actually pretty beneficial. So you, I'm going to remove. That's going to give me a nice overflow surplus. So I'm going to put into that. That should activate the surplus, I'm pretty certain. A couple farms wouldn't hurt. But I would say it'd actually be more beneficial to put like a commercial hub here. Perfect. They're going into religious combat. Just what I'm looking for too, actually. +6 will really, that's going to boost up my growth a nice amount to where I can really start to properly develop a little bit more. My science is just starting to catch up with some of the midliners. Zulu's getting pretty far ahead. Catherine, I'm pretty sure, you don't have niter yet. But you have a boatload of gold per turn. So now you don't value it as much. It's 5. Just to see if anybody's going to give me a deal that's actually worthwhile. All of them seem pretty mundane. I mean, 6 gold is really not that much for that kind of Diplo favor, so I'm going to hold on to that Diplo favor. So I know you hold value in that stuff. I'm going to hold on to 1 amenity for now, just to keep things kind of short up. So it's a 5-1 tile. That's pretty good. If I do enough, that'll I need 6. Cool thing is, this position here is great because I can put a geothermal plant there. I'm not seeing it yet. There we go. Ah, that's better. So you're not using that tile, so I'll swap that tile. And that'll make it just positive enough. That brought that down to 28 turns. Perfect. That's down to 11, and that's going to have gold income coming in nicely pretty soon here. Alexander did build Colosseum, so that means the viability of Colosseum is now gone. Interesting. I wonder if she has vampire castles.
Blast. Bill.
No, she's Void Singers. Let's see, housing is more limited here. So granary, that'll help. Ooh, source of niter. That is going to prove very crucial. It also is going to be very nice to have, considering I need a couple mines, and that fulfills one of those needed mines. So that'll be my third mine. Perfect. So I'm not going to do that. Let's see. That's going to get done. That's going to get done. I'm going to work on mathematics, because that's going to get boosted in a couple turns anyways. It's going to give me another point. Give me a little more science. I'm going to go ahead and actually no. I'd rather get that. That's not a bad one though. You did pick that up. Okay. So here's the thing. My position, they're using just their gold or faith to buy one that they just happen to get use for. I'm having a permanent supply of that, and I can make use of that. Permanent gold means permanent means of other things. And yes, I will start to catch up with this other stuff too. So this is good. This is very good. One turn away from getting that. That's exactly what I need. We're going to move here. That'll boost rifling. I had 2 mines, so it's 1 mine, 2 mines, 3 mines. Oh, it's counting as an industry, not as a mine. Ah, that's a little annoying. That's a weird semantic mechanic. I didn't know it would do that, but that's fine. So, little learning lesson is that if you make an industry, it does not count as a mine anymore within the game. And if you have two mines, like one mine here, one mine here, but you had a mine here before you built this and you converted this into an industry before you built this, it does not apply the boost for building 3 mines. So just a small thing, something to be aware of. I did not know this until I just found this out now. So let's see here. I'm going to move you up here. I'm going to swap that tile. That way I can gain growth value. Down to 18 turns, and that's down to 10 turns. Perfect. See, just little efficiencies. Little, just tiny little efficiencies. So next turn, that's going to boost mathematics and get that done. Perfect. That's what I need.
If I were again beginning...
Okay, so that brings me down to 9 left until a normal aged. Catherine is going to be way ahead of her science. She's producing an absurd amount of science per turn, so to be expected when she's probably got a pretty significant amount of land mass. Yeah, 7 cities, that's pretty good. All of which have campuses. Yeah, all of them are pretty much campused out. And to give you a little bit of gold, or a little bit of iron for some gold. I'm going to hold on to the niter though. Trebuchets will be nice. It's 12 turns to build one, but the good thing is that the nice one to have if I'm going after walls that are like medieval walls like these guys. That's ancient walls. Much of this stuff has ancient walls, so eventually I can outdevelop this stuff, and that'll put me in a good position later in the game. He has a significant amount of culture per turn. A lot of that has to do with some of his early game setup. I will start to catch a little bit on some of those other things, so I'm going to take advantage in the next so many turns on just building a lot of the core infrastructure. Just getting that stuff built so that way it's done and out of the way, and also gives me more potential growth later in the game. So that city is pretty well developed already. Only need ancient walls. Let's see here. I'm going to grow in a turn, and then I'll come back and see where my needs are at in that city. So far, I would like to go into banking, ideally. So I will make a push for that. Great scientist, it's probably not happening, so I'm just going to have to boost through that. So basically, in some of these other cities, just make a very clear effort. Of course, the lost suzerainty of that's to be expected since people are Ambiorix is of course going to do that. Military training.
We're all apprentices in a craft.
Build an encampment. I will actually be doing that eventually. Once I build this to 10 population, I will build an encampment there. And encampment there will just keep this area protected. Perfect. So he's expanding more. That's exactly as I want. I want you to just keep working your way over here. The more you do that, the more I can kind of work and play off of that, because I can eventually build a couple holy sites that'll actually have culture buffs to them, and that's really what I need right now at this stage of the game, is just that little extra touch. So I'm going to boost my science a little more. It's going to bring me up another 4 science. Every little thing helps. So he's going to give me a terrible deal, as you'd expect. Not interested. Not interested. Also not interested. Once again, not sure if you could hear it, but not interested. Any other takers?
Defense is superior to opulence.
Perfect. So let's see. Yes, I could have switched that out for diplomatic leak. Not that big of a deal. Bastions available, but I have walls in cities that I know are at the highest risk. This is in a pretty good position. I'm not going to move him too close. That way, telegraphs position, he backs off because he knows that he's at risk. Let's see here. Positionality is good. I could put him in there and get another 16 gold per turn. That'd be pretty darn good. That'll give me 6 gold per turn. Plus Reina having that wasn't Reina, I think it was their league, or I'm not sure who it was. I need to unlock the university for that to even happen. So let's go ahead and replace that with a little bit of science, just to boost this up a bit more. We'll go ahead and put a campus research grant into that. Just for a couple turns. That should boost that up faster. I like Amani at the moment. Oh, there we go. Amani would make more sense in... what other city-states do I have a presence in? Singapore. Now that could be good. Because then I can actually start doing a little bit more with that. I actually may do that. Try something different. So I'll work on that. I'll start making my way to that. That's 5 turns. These 2 things should boost it up to down to 3 turns potentially. It's 4 turns, but that's fine. I'll keep you fortified. Not that strong of a campus considering the campuses I have are much, much more valuable. That's 4 turns out. That's going to also boost this a good bit, so that's good. It's a pretty solid position. Now, eventually I will need to be careful about a mid to late game Navy being in the region attacking us. Could be something on the far east, you know, in the area that we don't know about. Could be something way further south. You know, we don't really have. I haven't seen many naval units of other civs. Predominantly all been land. Not a bad thing, but just kind of just something. You know, it's something. That's one turn out. That's gonna give me a nice little boost of gold per turn. I'm gonna go ahead and the moment I am going to get that. Grant a governor title. That's pretty good. I'm actually going to let that just... Yeah, I'm just going to let that finish naturally, and there's absolutely no reason to be wasting gold for that. Market's nice and all, but I'd rather save up in the next few turns. I'd rather save up for that really nice university. Okay. So we're getting close to where I want to finish off. I'm going to get a couple more of these things done, and then we'll say that's a good place to stop at. Great person.
A great
That'll boost that as well. We're going to go here. Oh, right. A governor title is going to be more valuable than 200 gold, because 200 gold is just a few turns worth of gold, and one envoy is not as big of a deal. I would much rather... Let's see here. Yeah, I would much rather get a free promotion. Maybe getting something like that. Maybe putting some loyalty pressure losses. That could always be good. I'm going to try that. I'm gonna try some little stuff here. Just utilize that as a strategy. Let's see. Okay, so at this stage of the game, I think everybody values diplomatic favor much more than it did before, which is good. A lot of them have used diplo favor. I'm holding on to that. That's going to gain more value as we play the game. Now that the commercial hub is done, I would say, like, ideally, let's see here. I mean, I can't really do anything with a Petra here. Unless I, like, took that city, transferred the Petra over, and then it would actually do something. But even then, it's kind of like, it's not really that great to even consider. So this is great. It's very good in the situation out. Like the situation of it all is pretty good so far. I would say ideally at the moment, I would like to get the market going. Because as I go into banking, I would like to just immediately make a bank and make that pretty effective and efficient, then have to wait a while for anything to actually start taking an effect. So he has no gold per turn. That's 4 gold per turn. Let's gain a little gold out of this. It's not much, but it'll add up amongst all the civs. There we go. That's going to give me some nice value. That's a couple turns out. Brings it up to 111 gold per turn. That's 2 turns away, and I will be able to pick up the university soon. And then once I start getting more of this stuff going and really have the good infrastructure that I want, the good thing is that that's going to give me the things and tools I need in order to switch. Let's see here. Get this second governor title for the Hermetic Order, which will basically give me like a really solid university. University that's going to give me some pretty good stuff. So the district generates gold equal to the adjacency bonus. So if I go to Empire, which is +8, no, +9. That's 6 gold right here. 5 gold. 4 gold. 4 gold. 3 gold. And you multiply that. Multiply that by 2. So let's do some quick maths. So 6, so that's 10, 14, 19, 22. So that's 44 gold a turn and 44 science a turn. So think about that for a second. And that's once I have universities down in every location. That's going to put me in a very strong position. And that's what I want. That's what I'm specifically focusing on and working towards. So those 2 are going to get done. That's perfect. That'll boost me a little bit.
It is the mark of an educated mind.
Perfect. In a better position with that. And putting pressure in this area is good, because it's also giving me free intel of our entire region. There's a lot here that has nothing. So eventually I could consider, you know, expansion cities. And that's something I may consider in the mid, like, as we approach more deeply into the mid game. You know, there's quite a few ley lines here, so adjacencies will be decent. You know, a city settled here, or actually, you know, a city settled here with the harbor here, and then a couple ley lines here. There are tons of ley lines. It'll have to be cleared up at barb camp, so it's going to be important that I really start building my science to catch up to the others. So now I have the means to get a university. It's 1,000 gold, but that's 6 science. Boom. Brings me up just about 70. So I'm now ahead of Macedonia. I'm ahead of Rome, and I'm just behind him. And a little behind him. No one's going to be catching her. So really the only way anybody's going to catch her is eventually going to do, basically, I'm going to have to do heavy domination to just spread as much as possible, gain as much ground, and then eventually kind of just take it from there. So that's going to grow pretty soon. That's a very high tempo area right here. So it's perfect. Let's say at the moment, I can consider a couple options. Pretty soon we will be having the next session of World Congress. So I will need to focus first on a watermill and granary. I may go walls, and then I'll just simply buy a library. That'll be faster for me. Ancient walls, same thing. I'll get a campus first, then ancient walls. I'll have enough time to do both. University, we're good there. And then really all of our general city needs are pretty much covered. That'll get done, and that's going to get done, and we're in a good position. So everyone, I think that is a pretty suitable place for us to stop. I'm going to go ahead and finish things up here, but want to thank you guys for your time, and SpeeDMan out.